The best question I was ever asked by a potential client was, what questions should I be asking you? I totally get it. As a fellow small business owner, you're wearing many hats and taking care of your own social media marketing. Maybe you just don't have time to be consistent with it. Maybe you don't have time to be creative with it. You're at a point where you're growing, you need to hire a social media agency to help you with it. Or maybe you're a small business owner that honestly, maybe you just don't understand any aspect of Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or whatever, but your business needs it to complement your other marketing efforts, right? So this video is especially for you, what questions you should ask and what you should demand out of the social media agency that you're going to hire for your business. One huge mistake that I see all the time, and I've temporarily lost some clients because of this, but inevitably I know they're going to come back. They've come back 100% of the time. Do not hire your nephew, your niece, your godson, don't hire, a college student who's taking marketing and thinks that they're going to, don't do that. Just because somebody who's 20 something is very versed on the personal side of Facebook and Instagram and can do all that, they, with all due respect to the millennials, who's a phenomenal generation, they don't know yet, or they're not a marketer, I should say. They're not a marketer. There's a big difference in posting a lot than being a marketer who knows how and when and what content to post. Don't rely on your daughter or your niece or your nephew or their cousins or whatever, that just because they're on Snapchat and they know how to make some funny videos, are they going to best represent your business? Are they going to just, my buddy used to post for his business, and he knows how to boost a couple of posts, and none of it worked. Of course none of it worked, that's not his forte, Maybe he did go through some of the targeting aspects, and really, more times than not, running an ad is way better than boosting a post. So that's another thing you can ask your person that you're interviewing is, what's the difference between boosting a post and running an ad on Facebook, right? A lot of the times it's synonymous and people think it's the same thing. If you're really in marketing and you really are on social, there's a huge difference than running ads and boosting a post. So do not rely on a cousin or somebody who thinks that they're great on social. Maybe they're great on social for themselves. Maybe they got a big following for themselves because they're funny, but there's a lot of things that simply don't translate. And I promise you don't want the way that they present their copy or the images or the videos. More times than not, it's not going to apply, or it's really going to hurt your business. Another big thing that you should look out for is somebody who's a student of social media. I hate when somebody calls me an expert or a guru of social media. There's a handful of people that are real experts in social media. Obviously, Gary Vee's an expert, Mari Smith, and a few others that are true experts in social media, right? I hate being labeled that, just because I have a number of accounts, it does not make me an expert. What you should be looking for is somebody that admits that they're a continuous student of social media. There is something new that I learn every day in social, right? So even just an hour before I videoed this, I'm going through some Facebook ads and there's like a new feature in there. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. This is kind of cool. So I started running some ads for myself just to test it out. So that's kind of a 2-in-1 thing right there. One person, or on one hand, you want somebody that is not saying that they're a guru, that admits that they're not an expert, but they're more of a student and they continuously learn. I mean, just in the last few months, I took Social Media Examiner's Facebook marketing class and the YouTube marketing class, and I was absolutely blown away, right? So you want to look for somebody who's humble enough to admit that they're not an expert, okay? And of course, in being not an expert, but more of a student of it, and this is honestly, it's marketing 101. If somebody says they're going to run some ads for you, boom, 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 and they're going to, if they don't say the word, we're going to test some ads for you first and see what the results are, and after a few days we'll make some adjustments or see which ones are working better than others, blah, 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 then that's not a person for you. You got to find somebody who initiates that conversation. Don't ask them, are you going to test these ads? Just say, how are you going to do these ads? And if they don't say, well, we're going to run a few of these, test a few different ads, maybe test an image, test a video. I have a good feeling when I put some ads together that maybe the video is going to do better than the slideshow, or maybe the video is going to do better than the image, or maybe whatever. But honestly, it doesn't always happen that way. It really doesn't always happen that way. So you got to find a social media agency or a marketer that's going to help you, that is a big, big believer in testing things first, taking those results and moving forward to those results. Another thing that kind of drives me crazy, to be honest, are all the people that call themselves social media marketers, or they label themselves as a social media agency, and they have zippo background in marketing. Nada. How are you a social media marketer when, you don't have any background, or you just kind of took it up? Or it drives me, I'm not going to name her by name, but because on one side, I think she's a phenomenal entrepreneur. She's grown a huge, huge presence, and she's making all these presentations, and she's doing all these and that, whatever. It's great, but in my opinion, she misleads a lot of people into thinking that you could start your own social media side hustle. A social media marketer, this is not a freaking side hustle for me. This shouldn't be a side hustle for somebody that you're going to employ to represent your business online. Why would you hire somebody who's taking this up, is a part-time parent, and is working from home to earn a few extra bucks, right? And buys all the templates from so-and-so and does this and does that. It's all canned. There is no marketing background. There is no strategy behind it. Much credit for the people who sell that and say, hey, if you want a side hustle as a social media marketer, buy my program and we'll join my Facebook group and we'll all get along nicely and, kiss babies and shake hands and all that, right? A social media marketer, if you're hiring somebody for your business, it can't be a side hustle for somebody. It drives me crazy when I meet somebody, and I used to hold monthly events before COVID and everything at a hotel downtown, and I used to get social media people that come in there and attend my events and try to pick off my people. Or one day they would show up and the next month they're like, oh, I'm doing social media now. You're not a marketer. You don't know anything about it. You can't even run an ad, right? So don't hire somebody to create copy and post for you every day on Facebook or Instagram or the applicable platforms, who doesn't know anything about marketing, who took up a course or attended my event downtown at a hotel and thinks, hey, Shawn could do that, I can do it too. I know how to post on Facebook. Do not hire a social media marketer or an agency as somebody who's doing this from home, or it's their side hustle, period. Another thing to consider is how intent is this social media person or agency when they approach you about maybe working for you. How intent are they in finding out your voice? And how intent are they in trying to speak in your vernacular? That's one of the biggest things, and honestly, it's the hardest thing for me when starting off with a new business, especially if it's an industry that I have no idea what's going on. I got to do a lot of homework and I got to learn a lot about that industry, but more importantly, I need to learn that voice, because when I'm creating content for my client, it's in her or his voice and it shouldn't be in mine. So that's one of the big things, like how intent is that social media agency or that marketer trying to replicate your voice. I even have clients where I've taken over their social media, and it's not the way I present copy. I like presenting copy, but it's it's the way they've done it before. So I replicate that because I want their audience to think, or continue to think, that they're the ones producing their own content and not somebody else that's coming on the inside, right? So that's very, very important to kind of find an agency that's going to learn your voice, learn about your mission, your purpose, the reason, your why, they got to know that so they could replicate you and not somebody else's voice or somebody else's vernacular. So the last thing is you should hire somebody that honestly, that yes, knows their stuff. They have a marketing background. They don't call themselves a guru or an expert. Any of the things I previously mentioned. But in my opinion, the most important thing is that you get along with that person, right? That they're available for you, that they have a genuine interest. And honestly, I would weigh this last thing more than all the other stuff, not combined, but I would weigh it heavily on these other stuff that I talked about. And the reason being because social media, for one, is very, very fluid. And two, you got to have somebody that you can get along with and can explain the metrics and the reasoning behind what they're doing, right? So it's got to be somebody who, it's not just getting along with you, it's being able to explain what they're doing, especially if you have no experience at all in social. And honestly, those are my favorite clients. They're maybe a little bit older, they hate Facebook, but they know they need to have a presence on social media. And I love those clients because I had that opportunity to really explain, one, how creepy we could be on Facebook, with their ads, and Instagram, and what we can do on YouTube and all this, and it really kind of generates some new ideas. And people who have not had experience in social sometimes come up with the best ideas for themselves, and honestly, I could rip them off and use it for my other clients, right? So it's kind of twofold. One, somebody that you generally kind of get along with and has a good interest in you as a person and you as a business owner, but somebody who's also going to explain things, right? Explain things, no matter how many times they have to explain it to you, because you're busy running your business and you may forget what some of these metrics are. But somebody who has that patience to explain these things over and over again. So that's one of the things that I learned right away, because I was providing these very complicated reports to all my clients and I wasn't retaining, or that something was going on. Once I provided very high level reports with the definitions of all the metrics next to them, honestly, that really opened up a lot more engagement, and it opened up the communication between myself and my clients, which is absolutely crucial. So these two things really kind of all bundle up in being able to communicate with somebody who's going to be available, have good expectations for one another, and know what they're going to deliver. So it's very, very important that they're good communicators and they listen to what you need. So those are the things that you need to kind of keep in mind when you're considering somebody to hire to do your social media marketing. So please keep those things in mind. If you have any questions or comments about anything I said in this video, put them down below, okay? Make sure you hit the subscribe button and put the little bell on so you know when my next video is coming on. And I would love to, if you want me to get more in depth about anything that you should look out for in social media when hiring somebody, please message me, give me an email, shoot me an email at Shawn@cmgsocialmedia.com, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I promise that. I appreciate you checking out this video. And remember, if you want to do what you want to do, then you got to do what you got to do.